Alrighty, good morning, and the time now 7:06. As we just talked about on 10 News, we are live streaming on multiple platforms. This including the 10 News app. This is also on Facebook, on YouTube. We're on a multitude of platforms trying to help you guys get ready for Saturday's winter storm, wintry mess, whatever you want to call it. I will say that it doesn't look like it's going to be a full-fledged snowstorm for everybody, but I would kind of rather that be the case, because once you start getting sleet and freezing rain and rain into the mix, it's just kind of messy. Understand that here we are, it's Wednesday, and what we're talking about is Saturday. And most of you watching right now have the realistic expectation that this is kind of a rough draft and that there's more chapters to be written here over the next few days. So what I mean by that is that we'll give you an overview, and details are starting to become a little bit clearer, but this is not necessarily the final say. And that's the frustrating thing, because I want to give you guys all the information and just have it stay the same over the next few days, but that's just not realistic. So thank you for letting me preface with that, I guess, here this morning. But a winter storm is likely, and especially around here, the past few years, it just seems like it's really tough to get a straight up snowstorm. It's kind of a bummer for those of you that like snow. But snow, mixing, and rain, they're all fair game, and I'll explain why here as we go throughout the duration of this live stream. But the general trend has been more snow to the north, more mixing to the south. Again, that's the broad view. I'll kind of bring it a little more local here in just a few seconds, but let's kind of start out with where our storm is right now. It's just making it onto the west coast, which is important because that allows weather balloons from the National Weather Service to be launched into it, to survey it, and then the data from those balloons gets fed into the forecast models, what we use as guidance to forecast weather. So here we are tomorrow afternoon, and this storm system is going to be over the plains. I'm going to drag this out slowly, and what you can see is by Saturday morning is we start out with that snow and ice mix. Okay, so we're taking it very slowly here. That snow and ice mix coming in from the south and then venturing to the north. You also see some greens there. There's going to be some rain in this thing as well, especially as you get closer to the North Carolina-Virginia border. And then as it goes farther to the north and east, looks like more of a snowstorm for them. And then on the back end, we'll turn windy, a little drier, maybe some mountain snow heading into Sunday. So let's kind of start breaking down a few of the details as they stand right now. This is a map that's put out by NOAA's Weather Prediction Center, and the reason why I'm using it is because I feel like it's a pretty good tool to kind of indicate where we see the best chance of snow accumulation. And I'm going to move this banner so that you guys can see it better and so that I'm not blocking it. So let's do that really quick. I'm just kind of looking at the screen. My apologies for that. And so what we see here is the blues indicating the high or the very high chance for accumulating snow and sleet. Douglas, good morning. Appreciate you checking in. Appreciate all of you guys checking in. I know this has been a big talker around town. But as I zoom into the map here, you see that blue is really going to be geared toward areas closer to Interstate 64. So again, that's going to be your best chance of snow accumulation, a couple inches or more. In the dark green, let me grab my handy dandy arrow here. This dark green is where it's still possible. That light green is where that chance is going to be very low. And again, that has to do with the mixed precipitation that we're going to be dealing with. So over the course of the next little bit, I'll explain why we're expecting mixed precipitation. I'll give you another map to kind of show you the different precipitation types. I'll show you the overall timing, and I'll show you the overall impact. So stick with me. I know some of you guys are getting ready for work or school or what have you. So appreciate you guys doing just that. Eric in Bedford, good morning. I do expect to see some mixed precip where you're going to be in Bedford. So temperatures at the surface, especially Saturday morning, they're going to be below freezing. But what we have to watch out for is what's going on just above our heads. And I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands of feet above our heads. If the temperature is 33 up there, you're going to see some freezing rain and some sleet. But if it's 32, it's snow. And it literally comes down to 1 degree. Keeping an eye on the forecast data day after day, it quite literally comes down to 1 to 2 degrees as to whether or not you see snow, sleet, or freezing rain at times on Saturday. So you can imagine why it's tricky, right? It's not that we just have no idea what we're talking about. It's a very finicky beast that we're dealing with here when forecasting winter weather. Joe, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. So a general mind frame that we're kind of going with here is to expect more snow in the blue. So this, at the moment, looks like northern parts of Craig, Botetourt, Rockbridge counties, Allegheny, Bath, Highland, Greenbrier, and Pocahontas counties. In the pink is where you're seeing the New River Valley, the Roanoke Valley, including Franklin County, Bedford County, Lynchburg, and this is what I'm calling a mixed mess. You may start out with some snow and sleet, but I do think that we'll see some freezing rain in here. Accumulations, we'll probably put them out later today, if not first thing tomorrow morning, just as we get another batch of forecast data to come in. But my gut tells me at least 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain for areas in the pink. Once you get to 1/4 of an inch, that's when you start to see power outages. So that's something we're keeping a close eye on. I would expect lesser totals in Danville, South Boston, Charlotte County, parts of Campbell County, just because you more than likely are going to see a morning mix, but then changing to a cold rain. So again, for South Side, this is not going to be a winter wonderland. And even for areas in the pink, this is not going to be like Bing Crosby's White Christmas. It's not going to be something you sing and dance about. Nobody wrote a song or a movie about Frosty the Iceman, right? But farther into the blue is where you stand a better chance of snow and sleet accumulation. So let's break that down in a different format. Let's kind of talk about the timing. What we're looking for in the coming days is what's called high resolution forecast data. And what that means is more detailed forecast data. So we start with this general time frame, and then we break it down hour by hour as we go into the next 1 to 2 days. Because again, keep in mind, we're 3 days out. So this is not the final say. But what you see here in the blue is where we start out with snow and sleet, and that, according to the latest data, is kind of brief. It's going to be in the morning in the NRV and the Roanoke Valley, whereas the Highlands see that extended period of time. And then you see a few hours of mixed precipitation, be it sleet or freezing rain. Eric, it doesn't look like golfing weather anytime soon. I would hate to be getting hit with freezing rain on the golf course, so appreciate the humor. Lynchburg South Side starting out with mixed precipitation in the morning. That could even linger into the afternoon in Lynchburg, whereas we start to transition to some rain from south to north. Okay, so that time frame there, what you see on the x-axis of the graph, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, keep in mind that we're going to get a little more detailed here over the course of the next 2 days. Luann, rural retreat in that area, yes, for mixed precip. Let's see. I do feel like the weather will be so chilly. I'll tell my wife I'm so cold. Hold on, I'm afraid of. Keep your hand. Okay. There we go. Keep your hand in mind. Yeah, definitely. It'll definitely be a chilly, raw day for us Saturday. I don't think many of us are going to be spending a whole lot of time outdoors. So as far as winter weather impacts, this is something that we can start to talk about 3 days away. Slick roads, it's kind of a given. Power outages are possible, especially for those of us that maybe see 1/4 of an inch of ice. And the reason why I use that number is because 1/4 of an inch of ice is basically the equivalent of 500 pounds on a power line. So it could wind up bringing down some power lines, and we've seen that in the past couple of years. Douglas, is there a chance that it moves a little south? There's always a chance, but the trend over the past 2 days has been for it to be farther to the south and kind of come to the north. That's just been the trend in the past 2 days, which is kind of why we're talking more of this mixed mess. You know, closures on Monday, that is totally up to your school systems. I'll put that as a possibility, but I have nothing to do with that, quite frankly. And then as far as shoveling snow, again, if you're closer to Interstate 64, you're going to stand a better chance of that than folks farther to the south. So again, we're going to give the more immediate forecast for the next 24 to 48 hours in a little bit, but I do notice a different number of people tuning in. Christine, thank you. I appreciate that. Amy, road conditions Saturday, I would stay off of them. Sunday might see some improvements, especially main roads, because there's going to be treatment and things like that. And temperatures will be above 25. The salt and brine solution that VDOT uses is effective up to a temperature of 25 degrees. If it's above that, it's effective. If it's below, kind of have a hard time with it. So Road conditions, yeah, Saturday is going to be pretty messy. Sunday, I'm cautiously optimistic. So here's the brief overview. Winter storm, likely Saturday, does not necessarily mean a full-fledged snowstorm. And I would kind of rather that because it's easier to remove. And quite frankly, it's a little easier to forecast. Let's see, Tammy, driving a snowshoe. Friday evening, you're good. Yeah, Friday evening, you're going to be okay. Most of our precipitation comes in around, if not after sunrise on Saturday. So you're good to go on Friday evening, and snowshoe could wind up with several inches. So that'll actually be good news for them, and some actual fresh powder as opposed to the man-made stuff, which either way is good. But again, as far as the overall setup for this, more snow to the north, more mixing to the south, and we can show you that with this map that, again, is made by NOAA's Weather Prediction Center, but I'm using it as kind of a tool. Not just straight copying it. I'm using it as a tool because I feel as though it best describes where the bulk of snow accumulation is going to be. So in the blue, you can see that riding up into the northern part of the state, into western Maryland, into Pennsylvania, and farther to New York. Alta Vista area this weekend, messy Saturday. And again, we'll get into some of the details there. You know, if I sat here and picked out every single town that we serve in the 25 counties that we have, we'd be here until the storm itself on Saturday. But I'll do my best to be as detailed as possible. Just trying to inject some really bad humor into this. But as far as the blue is concerned, that's where you stand your best chance of at least 2.5 inches of snow and sleet, basically winter storm criteria for snow. The darker green is where it's still possible, but this is a part of the area where we're going to watch for mixed precipitation, and especially because when you look hundreds or thousands of feet above us, the temperature up there could be 33, 34 degrees. And that 1 to 2 degree difference is huge. On a normal day, if it's 51 or 53, you don't care. It feels the same, right? Nobody cares about that. It's sorry, 51, 53. It's all the same to me. But in a case like this, if it's 33, 34 above the surface, we're talking freezing rain, we're talking sleet. If it's 32, then it's snow, right? Which most of our data has indicated would be the case up toward the highlands, whereas the farther south you go, temperatures above the surface will be 33, 34 degrees. So Saturday, from start to finish, mostly snow in areas in the blue. Keep in mind, as I mentioned at the beginning of this is the rough draft. You don't finish a book just by reading the rough draft, right? You keep checking back to see what the other chapters have. So keep doing that here over the next few days because we're still 3 days out from this thing. But in the pink, you see that mixed mess. And this could be a brief period of snow and sleet followed by freezing rain. So in the pink, I'm, at the moment, a little more concerned about freezing rain. And that stuff's just never fun. In the green, you start out with that brief mix in the morning, and then it changes over to cold rain. So I think the least of the impacts will be parts of Pennsylvania, Halifax, Charlotte, Campbell, and Appomattox counties. But that's just kind of where we stand right now. I would love to keep going. I'm enjoying the conversation that we're having here. You guys have been great. But we do have a live update on the Today Show that's coming up at 7:26. So I do have to get ready for that. A number of updates to record. We've got more details on WSLS.com on our weather app. I will caution that the iPhone app is not good enough for storms like this. On a sunny day, I won't talk trash about it. But for storms like this, they're just a little too delicate to be using just straight up computerized data. So I would throw some caution to the wind with that. But again, all the updates and details that we have, they're on our website, on our app, on social media, and I'll be posting updates as we see fit here over the course of the next few days. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Plenty of time to think about this and prepare for it. And we'll be with you guys every step of the way. Have a great hump day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.